This report by the government's Victorian Skills Authority says we need around 373,000 extra workers within the next 3 years to meet the growing demand for jobs and also to replace retiring workers. And it also warns of a really high-level mismatch between people available and much-needed skills, saying that there needs to be specific focus placed on training and placement across 13 key industries. And some of the crunch points include the need for an extra 65,000 healthcare workers, some 90,000 extra people in the service sector, and also 41,000 extra teachers. Across construction, in the next 3 years, we'll need another 34,000 workers and an extra 16,000 manufacturing workers, just to name a few. And this report does blame the pandemic for much of this skills shortage, saying that we're actually around 160,000 workers short of where we should have been last year on the forecast that they originally had.
And where will Victoria find these workers?
Well, Joe, that is the million-dollar question, because as you say, with this job summit coming up, everybody is needing more workers, and we can see that in the really low unemployment rate as well. Now, apart from those school leavers, as well as the skilled migrants that are coming in, that of course Victoria is going to have to compete with other states for, another key point that this report says is that they are really looking for a boost in the women's workforce participation rate, because at the moment it's just 62%, whereas it needs to be boosted quite a lot. That's 10% lower than 72% of men. So it's not just needing those skills, there's also a greater emphasis on housing availability, on transport links, and also, of course, that big chestnut being the low wages that a lot of workers are currently being placed under. So boosting those wages somehow. We've heard some response from the Victorian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Its CEO, Paul Guerra, says that this isn't just a situation that's happening in Melbourne, it's happening across regional Victoria, in some cases even worse with those workforce shortages, and also happening across Australia. We're seeing that in hospitality and in retail, with some places not even being able to open their doors because they simply don't have enough staff. And he says that it's really important to look at women, look at working families as well, and how to try to boost that participation rate as well. And one thing that Vicky has really been speaking about is trying to make sure that we introduce that flexibility. We've seen work from home throughout the pandemic, but in terms of having to go into the office, creating a much more flexible work option for working parents so that they can come home in time to pick up the kids before childcare closes, for example, so we can see them potentially being able to work later on in the evening if they have to. So having those flexible options really to try and boost the much needed jobs around, or the much needed workers for all those vacant jobs that are out there.